Hello, Watem here. Welcome back to some more Umineko When Seagulls Cry. Let us continue.
同じゲーム版を使う以上、この子にできないことはできません。しかし、この子がやらないことはやれます。
やらないこととは何だ？
チェスの道具はチェスで遊ぶために存在します。
Okay.
それを使ってトランプをすることはできない。
Can play in a different style.
しかし、チェスの駒を相手に投げつけてぶつけたり、チェス盤に落書きしてみたり、そういう行為をすることも不可能ではありません。しかしそれはチェスに対する冒涜だから誰もやらない。
That definitely wouldn't be chess anymore. Berto's eyes seem to cloud slightly with sadness.
ふざけやがって。これは俺とベアとのゲームだ。他の誰にも冒涜はさせない。
At that time, gold butterflies gathered and Renove appeared, holding a tea set with black tea.
紅茶のおかわりはいかがですか？
もらえるか？
かしこまりました。いかがですか？お嬢様の思考を探る旅は。
さっぱりだが楽しんでるぜ。
しかしよろしいのですか？こちらでくつろがれていても。
あの魔女どもが勝手に進めてるゲームのことか？
ええ。先ほど紅茶をお届けに伺った時にはもう第一の番の殺人が起こり、
Interesting.
もうじきその次の殺人も起こりそうな気配でした。
When Berto and I were playing, the game would be paused whenever someone left their seats. However, those switches wouldn't pause that game just because I wasn't around.
ロノウェは奴らのゲームを見たのか？
一部ではございますが。
どうだった？
Renove lifted the pot high with an elegant gesture as he poured for black tea. After finishing that, he finally spoke. He gave us his impression of it.
愛がありませんな。
I'm just noticing with the silhouette there. I feel like that's changed. I feel like that doesn't quite look like Beatrice. And crossing her legs like that.
なんだ？
I think. Kind of looks like they might be crossing their legs there.
これは失礼。
Without love, it cannot be seen.
女性風に申し上げるとです。男性風に申し上げるならば、義理が通らぬと申しましょうか。
I understood what those words meant. When I met Vigilia's eyes, she shook her head slightly and stared at the floor.
上辺は大変よくお嬢様のゲームに似せていると思います。
Beneath the surface.
しかし根本が大きく異なっています。
それはベアとのゲームのルールに反することなのか？
いいえ、反しません。ラムダデルタ様はお嬢様のゲームのルールを実によく理解なされております。しかし
Butler stood up. There was no need to make Renove say any more.
バトラク。
ロノウェ、すまない。せっかく入れてもらったけど紅茶はいらねえぜ。
やはり 参られますか。
Is it about how Benkister was playing or something else?
ああ。俺たちのゲームに部外者はいらない。
These guys weren't even here in the beginning. As I've been letting around about, crazier and crazier witches have been introduced. Now they've hijacked this game between me and Beatrice.
取り返さねえとな。ベアとのゲーム版は今は俺が預かってるはずなんだ。その俺がここでぼんやりしてるわけにはいかない。
ありがとう。その言葉をこの子に聞かせてやりたかった。
きっと聞こえていますよ。お嬢様はそれにお返事することができないだけです。
And why is that? Berto lay there silently, a living doll with dull eyes. The game board she'd created herself had been hijacked by incomprehensible people and was being turned into a mess. If I was designated to be her opponent, Berto must have created this game for me. I've got to take it back.
待ってろ。俺が取り返してくる。
Of course, Berto didn't respond in any way. Right. If you can't respond, then you have to protect it in her place.
行ってくるぜ。マルギリア、ロノエ、黄金の眠り姫の面倒を頼むぜ。
はい、お任せ。
Am I hearing like quack sounds in the music?
いってらっしゃい、バトラ君。そしてどうかこの子のいないゲームにてこの子の何かを見つけてあげてください。もしそれを見つけることができたなら、たとえこの子が不在であってもあなたはこの子と戦ってくれたことになる。
そうだよな。
Okay.
ああ。全然ダメだぜ。
You really do love saying that.
俺は何をやってるんだ。
What are you doing indeed? Go. Let's take it back.
魔女ども、待たせたな。俺の休憩は終わりだぜ。
When he faced jet black heavens and yelled this, the whole world chattered, as though it were made of thin glass, made out of thin glass. Then, as though it had been that way since the beginning, transformed into that smoking room where Basler had fought Berto so many times, and which her two witches had now hijacked.
なにあんた、今頃戻ってきたの？超遅すぎ。もうゲームは2日目どころか大詰めも大詰めよ。
バトラがいつまでも来ないから私が勝手に進めちゃったわ。
Yeah, like you even waited for me in the first place.
ベルンはあんたよりずーっと頭が冴えてて痛快だったわよね。
うるせえ。プレイヤーは俺だ。代役の魔女どもは引っ込んでろ。
別に今から参加しても構わないけど、もう出番ないわよ。だって
確かに。だってもうクライマックスもクライマックス。これで多分ベルンが詰めてゲームセットだもの。
なんだと。
いいんじゃない？最後の爪くらい見物しても。
そうね。おいでなさい、後ろ宮バトラ。もうほとんどおしまいだけど、私の作ったキュートでエレガントなゲーム、エピソード5 エンド・オブ・ザ・ゴールデン・ウィッチ。
Okay. So you got all the usual. Who's dead? Corpse. Jessica, the corpse discovered in the cousin's room on the upper floor of the guest house. The correct cause of death is unknown, but her neck was sliced open by a sharp blade. The wound was deep enough that anyone could easily confirm her death with absolute certainty. Corpse discovered in the cousin's room on the upper floor of the guest house. The correct cause of death is unknown, but the neck name. Yoshi, corpse discovered in the guest room on the first floor of the mansion. Being pierced through the back with a demon stake. His tip reached as far as his lungs. Because he was lying face down on the bed, suicide must be ruled out. Rosa, corpse discovered in the cousin's guest room on the upper floor of the guest house. The direct cause of death is unknown. Name, Ria, name, also found in the cousin's room. And Genji, corpse found, discovered in the 7th room, first floor of the mansion. Direct cause of death is unknown. His neck was been sliced open by a sharp blade. No Beatrice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Why wasn't Battler in the cousin's room? Second day, October 5th, 19. Right now, no humans exist on this island except for those in this parlour. And, with one exception, it has been shown that none of them have committed murder. And the culprit is among these people.
Oi, oi. となると決定的じゃねえか。
Bachelor? What a rather incomprehensible scenario he's just been thrown into.
魔女が犯人で魔法で殺人を犯したわけでない限り。
Oh, I'm curious why he's suggesting that.
あんたなの？あんたがジョージを、主人を殺したの？どうしてよ？どうして？私は殺していません。
Oh, okay. Not Bachelor, I guess, then.
私は何も。
In a panic, and with a voice that was far from calm, in a manner that was, to put it coldly, unsightly, Aunt Natsui denied the suspicion placed upon her. However, there was no longer any way around it. G stood up, brushed back her long hair, winked at Aunt Natsui and said it one more time.
あなたが犯人です。
I'm sorry. Who? Who this?
後宮夏日さん。
Okay, That's not Sui's scarf thing, I think. Neck thing. No, maybe. Could have been hers or what's her name? Guessing focus on the blue either. What's red? I saw something in the background there. I guess one potential way to show that it isn't a witch doing it would be to discover the murderer earlier on and detain them. And then if there aren't any more murders that happen till the end of the game. Maybe. Who knows? As she knocked loudly and repeatedly, Natsui yelled. Shortly after, there was a heavy clunking sound. The sound of a door to Kinzo's study unlocking could be heard. I mean, technically, Kinzo might be alive in this episode. It's not going to be true. But the red text was just for episodes 1 to 4. And technically not number 5, I think? But he is probably dead already. As the door opened, a heavily sweet, venomous odour flowed out. Natsu was always ashamed of how she automatically grimaced at that. Do we get the time? Reward time. I'm wondering if this is a flashback as well. And I'm wondering if we'll just drop the whole Kinzo being alive charade as well. Even though she thought it was rude to the family head. Rouse was waiting for her inside the study. Natsui flew into his arms. In uncertain gait, Natsui walked towards the center of the study, supported by Kraus. There, a dignified bed fitting for the Ushomiya family head could be seen, along with Nanja, Genji, and Kumasawa. After sighing deeply, Nanja left the side of the bed. On the bed, Kinzo could be seen lying down, asleep, forever.
大往生だ。金蔵さんも心残りはなかっただろう。
Sobbing, Natsui slumped over the chest of that man, who had fallen into a sleep from which never awakened.
奥様、どうかしっかり。
Really? It's just too sudden? Being given like a year notice? Basically? Or however long it was? Certainly at least months. Natsui couldn't stop crying over the death of a man whom she had loved like a second father. Masaha rubbed Natsui's back, consoling her. Kraus slumped into his late father's favourite chair. By sitting there, he might have been immersed in memories of his departed father. Perhaps he thought that by sitting there, he might be able to understand just a bit more of the madness of Kinzo's later years, which he had never been able to comprehend before. Nanjo, just as he had when Kinzo once sat in that chair, contemplating a chess move, turned his back and looked down over the outside world through a crack in the curtains.
同じ死ぬならせめて寝込んで1年後に死亡とか。
So when did he die then?
もう少ししかるべき準備の猶予期間を設けてから死んで欲しかったのね。それは逆だ。最後の瞬間までお元気だったことを喜ぶべきです。建前上はそうなるがね。
Nanjo understood that as well. Ushirome Kinzo, who had risen like a comet and glittered like a supernova in the post-war business world, had died. His funeral would probably be of a fantastic scale. That's what this whole thing is. All of these murders, just to really give him the grand funeral that he deserves, as well as the rest of the family deserves. And it would also be the ceremony marking Kraus's inheritance of the headship. He would have to arrange everything as the host of the event, carry out funeral diplomacy perfectly, and make it clear to all the Ushimiya family. Make it clear to all that the Ushimiya family still had enormous influence in the political and financial spheres. As Nanjo watched Kraus, he was vividly reminded of the time when Kinzo had been suddenly selected as the Ushimiya family head. Kinzo had been lost and confused. And Nanjo didn't go back that far. In this way, he was able to understand Kraus's distress and sympathize with it. Natsui's sobs eventually subsided. Watching this and leaving Kumasawa to care for Natsui as a fellow woman, Genji returned to where Kraus was. And, as though asking what should be done, Genji lowered his head slightly.
手続き等は私と源氏さんでやろう。クラウスさんはまずは親戚の方々に連絡した方がいいでしょうな。
Does he not? Kraus, with his hands still over his eyes, didn't respond. Perhaps even though he had known this day would come, Kraus really couldn't hide his shock at how suddenly it had reached them.
私と南條先生にお任せを。
Shortly after the previous conference, and
旦那様はまずは奥様とご相談いただくのが良いかと思います。
that's when he was previously diagnosed to have only about 3 months left to live. And how long ago was it that they'd burst into his study? Don't remember that either. Anyway, maybe she heard that, or maybe it was a coincidence. So responding to Genji's words, Tsui came over. Her eyes were red from crying so much. But she apparently understood the heavy responsibility that had been imposed on them, even better than Kraus did.
これからはあなたが栄光ある後宮家の当主です。お父様の後を立派に継いだことを内外に示しましょう。この夏日 あなたの妻として棺を並べる日までお仕えする覚悟です。
Trying to encourage her husband, who was overcome with shock, Matsui lent him some reassuring words. And Kraus finally lowered the hands that had been covering his face, looked up at the ceiling with a blank expression, and let out a deep, deep sigh.
どうかしっかり。お父様の残したものを食い荒らそうと目論む輩が大勢いるのですよ。私たちはお父様の名誉と財産を守るために戦わなければなります。それが後宮家当主の最初の仕事ですよ。
分かってる。分かっているとも。
That's how the conspiracy starts.
南條先生と源氏はお役所や葬儀業者への手配をお願いします。
Yeah. Seems like the funeral arrangements might not have been carried out if he keeps reappearing in the furnace.
特に源氏。お父様の葬儀にふさわしいものとなるよう特に手配を頼みますよ。
かしこまりました。
それから南條先生、お父様は病院でお亡くなりになったわけではないので、
場合によっては解剖が入るかもしれませんな。
なんとかなりませんか。亡くなったとはいえお父様の大切なお体です。傷をつけるなど耐えられることではありません。
気持ちはわかる。だがそういうところをきっちりすることも大切だ。それにこう言ってはなんだが、難しい親族の方々が多いんじゃないかね。
He knew how those vultures after the inheritance might try to find fault with them. They might claim to have found some reason to suspect the cause of death, using that as a point of contention to start some trouble. Right now it was important not only to pay Kinzo's remains the respect they were due, but also to solidify the position of the new family head, Kraus.
わかりました。必要最小限にお願いします。間違ってもお父様の威厳が損なわれるようなお姿にしないように。
それは大丈夫だ。安心しなさい。とにかく金蔵さんのことはわしらに任せて、夏日さんはクラウスさんのそばにいてあげなさい。これからが大変なんだから。
分かっています。あなたもどうかしっかり。
Kraus was still staring blankly at the ceiling with a fuddled expression on his face. He understood the shock and heavy responsibility he bore. That's how he understood her husband's feelings as much as anyone.
親族への連絡は私がします。今だけは休まれてください。
Kraus didn't respond. Matsui, thinking him to be just a bit unreliable at the moment, decided she must offer her support. Seeing her husband like this actually spurred Matsui to action, and a resolute expression rose to her face. Like a knight
これから
in
忙しくなります。
shining armor.
今できることを始めましょう。夫はきっとお父様と二人きりで話したいこともあると思います。私たちは一度ここを退出しましょう。
そうでございますね。その時間はきっと今しか取れないでしょうから。
Being in charge of a funeral was tiring work. There's no time to shed tears. If Kraus were ever to be given time to cry for his dead father, that time would have to be now. Everyone agreed with Kumasawa's words, and so Kraus continued to blankly gaze up at the ceiling and didn't respond in any way. That's where he urged the servants to go.
私はジェシカにも話してきます。今やあの子が次期当主です。それにふさわしい自覚を持つようによく言い聞かせなくては。
待て。
Mm-hmm. That's Kraus's idea. Does he want to get the gold first before anyone else has a chance, and then claim all the inheritance for himself, perhaps? As they each started to make their way out of the study, Kraus finally spoke. They stopped walking.
はい。
待て。
はい。
Hadn't she already stopped walking, just like her husband had asked? Despite that, he told her once again to wait. From those slightly weak words, Natsui understood that he'd probably stopped her because he wanted her to be by his side.
お前たちは下へ。私は夫と言います。何かあったらここに電話するように。
かしこまりました。だから待てと言っている。
Yep. And Kraus suddenly raised his voice. Everyone jumped and turned around. Unable to comprehend what she had done to spark her husband's wrath, Natsui ran up to him.
どうしましたあなた。私は何か失礼なことを口にしてしまいましたか。だったらお許しを。
いや、違う。そうじゃない。そうじゃない。少し待て。時間をくれ。
ええ、分かっています。
Now, I'm pretty sure falsifying someone's death is illegal.
心を整理するためにも必要です。
Or falsifying someone's lack of death.
私たちはその時間をあなたにあげようと、ここから静かに出ていくだけですよ。
だからそれを待てというのだ。いいか、誰もその場から動くな。一歩たりともだ。疲れたなら椅子にでもソファーにでも好きに座ればいい。だから何も喋らずに静かに黙って何もせずにいろ。
Those unreasonable words felt like a glimpse of how Kinzo used to be. Natsui couldn't hide a slight surprise at this behavior. Almost made it seem as though Kinzo had possessed her husband. Natsui told the servants to wait for the time being. She ordered them to sit on the sofa a short distance off, approached her husband and spoke to him in a small voice.
あなたのお命じになれば、夏日はいくらでも待ちます。とどまります。ですからどうか、お気を鎮められてください。
I am seeing some parallels with Higurashi at this moment, with how it's been described as Kinzo's madness seeming to transfer to him. With how Rika was kind of the queen parasite thingy, was host to the queen rather. So when she dies, all of the other parasites supposedly go insane and aggressive and all, or make their host become aggressive and all that. Kinzo's just died, and now Kraus is becoming aggressive, and taking the same kind of whatever it was, seemingly possessed by him.
違う。そうではないのだ。そうではないのだ。
Was it really blood? Or was he actually being possessed? Krause's disorderly style of speech strongly resembled Kinzo's. As she watched this, Natsui became certain that Kraus was Kinzo's son after all. As she was her true successor, more suitable than any other person, and absolutely no bias at all. She's a perfectly impartial in this scenario. Wasn't the word I was looking for, but close enough.
夏日こっち
Charles stood up and headed towards the window, trying to lengthen the distance between himself and the servants waiting on the sofa. Lengthen the distance between himself and the servants waiting on the sofa by even a small amount. And I think that's where I'll end it for today. I get the feeling we're going to get some conspiracy next time. I hope you've all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. And until next time, see ya.